Hello, witches and wizards, and welcome back to Practically Magic. I know it's been a minute since we've been here, but I am so happy to be recording again about the subjects I love best, magic, and helping you discover the magic that is you. Today, we are going to revisit some ideas that I introduced in Season 1, Episode 1. If you listened to the very beginning of Practically Magic, you'll remember that I teased a little bit about how those first episodes were going to be a little clumsy, a little sweaty, that we'll be listening to them a year or two later and maybe be smacking our foreheads. But I would love to go back in time a little bit and redo some of those episodes. Not redo, but maybe revamp and update and give you a little more in depth of what we talked about in the beginning. So we are introducing magic today as if it's the very first time you've ever heard or have learned about magic. So, in Practically Magic, we pull a card for the beginning of our episodes. And so that's what we're going to do first. I want you to stay tuned to the end of the episode because we do have some awesome announcements and updates and just cool stuff to offer you. And I can't wait to talk to you about it. But we will save that for the end. Tease it out there, if you will. So let's pull a card for those of you watching and listening. What is the message that you need to know today, right now? And I am going to pull a card from one of my new decks. It's the Tarot of the Divine deck. For those who are watching, you can see me hold the cards up. And those just listening to audio, you'll just have to miss out. Okay. Now, I do this on the spot. I do not pre-pull a card, so we never know what we're going to get. We're going to trust that this is the message we are meant to get today, and whatever time that is when you are listening to this episode. Deep breath, everybody. We are here. Ooh, and we are the Magician. The Magician card comes up, and I love in this edition of tarot, this particular deck, it kind of has this Cinderella fairy godmother character or archetype for the magician, which is perfect because it is all about discovering how magical we really are, that what we believe inwardly and what we think inwardly can in fact manifest itself outwardly. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I want you to think for a moment, if you can, just reflect on what is it that you have percolating. What have you been investing in? Your time, your energy. Maybe it hasn't come to its full fruition yet. It hasn't come out into the world yet, but you've been sitting on it. And maybe you've even gone through moments in the last couple of months where that feeling of desperation and discouragement has come up, where you think, I really wanted this, but I'm almost afraid it will never happen. I don't know how it will happen. I haven't seen things move towards that yet. And so you can feel a little discouraged. I want you to think about that. And I want you to let go of any connection that you have to the thing that's been percolating, the thing that's been planted like a seed in the ground. Instead of watching that seed and feeling that desperation that seed needs to grow or that you wish it would grow, I want you to just trust. What will be, will be. I've planted several seeds, not just one. I have planted several seeds in the last year, in the last few months, and I am going to trust my higher power, the universe, whatever you believe in, your higher power, that the energy of the universe, the source that is love in the universe that loves me, is going to provide that thing as I work towards my goals. So we're going to wash ourselves clean, cleanse ourselves clean of the desperation energy but I need this and I want this and it's the only thing that matters. And let it be. Let be what is. Someone was talking to me recently about, thinking that I should move from where I am. And I will just tell you, some of the legislation and things that have been happening in Utah, where I live, makes me think that maybe we are the state in this union that cares the least about our environment and protecting this land that we call Utah. I love where I live. I have a deep and profound respect for the Great Salt Lake and the land that I live on. But there have been some recent political things going on that have made me feel like the leaders in charge of our beautiful state maybe don't understand the protection and the respect for the land, our job as stewards of the land, as well as I would like. But anyway, this friend had kind of thrown it out there that she saw me living somewhere else. And I said, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not going to actively work towards it either. I am going to trust that a path will open up for me if that is what's meant to happen. And so maybe it will. Or maybe I'll be able to come to terms with where I live and become an activist in helping people understand why it's important that we take care of the place we live in. I'm going on a tangent already. We've just started the episode and I'm already talking about something that has nothing to do with the episode. Focus, Courtney, focus. I started this podcast because I wanted people who listen to not only become educated. Maybe they get a little bit of an aha moment, something they hadn't thought of before. Maybe they've been practicing magic or witchcraft or spirituality or mysticism or whatever you want to call it. Maybe you've been practicing it for a long time, but maybe there's something about what I share that will tap into another pool of information that you can find useful. And when I started it, I wanted to start it with the basic pillars of what I think are magic. Now, there's a lot of experts out there that could agree with me, disagree with me. It doesn't matter. It's my podcast. I'm going to share with you what I feel and what I know about it. You take it for what you will. But this started with actually a fictional novel that I read. And I had already been studying a lot of really cool books on quantum science and mysticism and druidry and spirituality and understanding energy and energy centers of the body. I mean, I was taking classes. I was very, and still am, very academic about it. I attacked it with, I want to learn everything that the experts in their field know about these things. And then I read this novel for fun. It was called Once and Future Witches. And the way that they described magic, obviously another fictional kind of representation of magic like you would see in Harry Potter or Cinderella, for example, waving a magic wand, things that seem impossible are suddenly made possible. It was one of those type of books. But I always feel that there is an element of real or nonfiction and something to take away from those books as well. So the way that they described magic or being able to make magic in that book was with 3 pillars, 3 things: the words, the will, and the way. So I thought, what a perfect way to explain how energy works, how manifestation works, the law of attraction. Everyone talking about The Secret all those years ago when that was really popular. And we still like to use those words. It's kind of this uprising of new age. I can manifest. I just have to manifest it. Well, I don't think you'll be surprised to learn that I have somewhat of an issue with some of that, because I think a lot of people are going to be very discouraged when they find out that they're told they can sit and ruminate and visualize on a thing that they want, and then they will just attract it, and that's how it will work. Drinking my coffee with you today. Well, how many of you, when The Secret came out, were trying all of those things that you were told? And by the way, it was pretty vague. I don't know if you remember the video, the documentary, I guess, video that they made, movie about it. And they had a lot of experts in the law of attraction field that were talking about it and saying, just project out these thoughts and then it attracts what you want and you put them in certain terms and all these things. But a lot of people were discouraged because they were like, I'm doing that. I've been doing that for months, for a year, for whatever, and I haven't seen a lick of difference in my life, and I'm getting really discouraged. And then you're told that the negative thoughts in your head, are pushing it away. And so you're being counterintuitive because you're making something come to you, but then you're pushing it away at the same time. And how is anybody supposed to figure out the code, the secret to how you actually stop pushing things away subconsciously? And that's where I started doing work with the Institute of Healing Arts, learning about integrated processing technique and modalities of things that helped work with people at a deeper level of their subconscious. For me, it has been extremely powerful to include in my own work, but that of my clients and people that I work with, is inner child work. I mean, what better way to go back to subconscious decisions made when you have these programs running in your subconscious that came from early childhood? Almost always. I mean, we know in neuroscience that you are mapping these little neural pathways in your brain from before you are born, when you're in your mother's womb, and then they are pretty much done and cooked by 8 years old. You have a brain that is fully mapped. So are we done at 8 years old? We have everything we need to know. We have all the knowledge we need to get us through life? Probably not. In fact, a lot of those neural pathways are counterintuitive. They are totally contradicting each other. And then when traumas and experiences and things happen after 8 years old, as we're adults, we realize the way we've been doing life doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all. These are just the way we've learned to do it. And by the way, the traumas that we've experienced in the womb and before 8 years old influence how those neural pathways are written. So we react in certain ways because that's all we've ever known. That's the only way we know how to do it. So a lot of the work that I do in healing work is not just energy work, or it's not just maybe what someone else would think of as energy work is like woo-woo. I believe it, so it's true. I wave my hands over someone's body and then they're healed. There is so much more going on that people don't even realize when we're tapping in to energy work and to people's subconsciousness and by the way, the collective consciousness and the collective subconsciousness. There are all kinds of levels we're working on. So to have those elements of magic, whether you like to associate magic with spell work and witchcraft, or you are one of those people, when those words are spoken out loud, you think, no, I believe in energy work. I believe it's healing. I believe it's real. I have a lot of experience in that area, but I do not associate it with witchcraft. Well, I might die on this hill, but here at Practically Magic and the Gospel According to Courtney Pearl, they are the same thing. The only thing that's different about that is that we have a whole hundreds and maybe thousands of years of propaganda against what we call witchcraft, but we can begin in this new age world to see that there is more going on than we realize, that Reiki healing is now coming out with all these studies where Reiki healing done with cancer patients is actually helping them heal and have their cancers go into remission. And there's all these really cool things coming out saying, well, there's something to this. We know there's an aura because scientists have now got enough technology advancement to be able to measure that there is an actual field of energy around our bodies, which, the woo-woo people or the indigenous people of many different cultures and lands of this earth have been saying that for thousands of years. Think about Hindus talking about the chakras in the body and talking about how there's these energy centers in the body. And now we have the proof and the science that's proving that those things are actually real and that they exist in our bodies. So to ramble around an entire point, there needs to be more. And so we start with the word. If you have read the 4 agreements, they talk about one of the agreements being your word is impeccable. And by the way, I am filming this at this particular time in the summer solstice wheel of the year. So we are in Litha. And Litha is associated with the throat chakra. So the healing cycle that happens during a summer cycle is working on your word. Your word, be impeccable with your word. The words spoken out loud have power, and the words spoken inwardly in your thoughts have power as well. We know that from the law of attraction, that when we think a thing, it has a frequency. The thought becomes a pattern that can either be sent out into the universe and attract the things that are at that same frequency, or a lower frequency if we're being negative, for lack of a better term. I don't like to use the words positive and negative because it's kind of like using the terms right and wrong or good and bad. What even is all that, right? But whatever it is you are thinking, you are attracting something at that frequency. So the word is an important part of it. And when it comes down to how we phrase those words, that's up to the practitioner of magic, the witch herself, or magician, wizard, whatever you want to call yourself, warlock. The magical person, right? So, for example, and this comes from the Isaiah Effect, a book about prayer, that the way we word our prayers and spells and affirmations have a really big impact in the vibrational frequency that they emit. So, for example, if I was going on a trip with my family and I wanted to say a prayer to my higher power about protecting us on this trip, I could say that prayer in, please protect my family. Please make sure my family is safe. And that denotes a sense of fear. So there's going to be, an emission of some fear in that. If I were to pray with an element of gratitude, I am so thankful for the car we have been able to obtain and maintain and make sure is safe for our travels. I am so grateful for the family getting along and being supportive and loving to each other so that we can take this trip. I'm so grateful for our health, that when we take this trip, we are going to be healthy. The gratitude frequency and the fear frequency are very different and can be invoked differently based on the words that I use in that prayer or in that spell. For some witches, we like to be a little creative with our spells. We like to write a spell that rhymes and has a sort of poetry to it. That's pretty theatrical, but it is fun, and why not, right? It's also not necessary. So for any of you out there looking to engage in witchcraft and you're like, I don't know how to do that. I just want to say, blah, 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 this is what I want, and have that be it. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. What matters is, do you believe the words you're speaking? And that's where we get into the will. And this is where all that work in the subconscious is really powerful, because you can be affirming or using affirmations to say that you want a thing and that this is the thing you want and this is where we're going with it. You can say that forever. But if subconsciously you have a deep-rooted belief that you are not worthy of this work, if you have some lens of shame wrapped around your eyes that helps you see the world through the lens of shame, meaning that everything that you see is seen through the lens of, I'm not good enough. Something is wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. That is going to absolutely sabotage your work. And for those who are trying to make spells or trying to manifest, you are going to find that you hit those roadblocks every time until that inner work can be done. That's why there's people like me. There's a lot of great people out there doing work. People who do sound healing are doing that work. People who do breath work are doing that work. It's not just the therapists and the mental health professionals. We have people highly trained out there in the world doing energy work, emotional processing work, and we are here to tap into, in whatever modality we are experts in, what is going on a subconscious level. I've had people who go to a sound bath if it's a really good sound healing experience, and they can release a lot of that shame, take off those lenses, if you will, and be able to see the world and themselves in a completely different way, just from sound vibrations being exposed to them and having them sit in relaxation and breath in their body. I've had some really powerful experience with some breath work sessions. And a good friend Danielle, who lives here locally, she does some amazing, she works for with the Collective. That's her business, and her partner, they do breathwork sessions. Had some powerful experiences in those breathwork sessions, and it's completely kinesthetic. I mean, it's your entire body going through basically forced, what is it called when you can't breathe? The word has just left my brain. You know, you're forcing yourself to hyperventilate. That's the word I was trying to come up with. So it's completely in the body. It's not a logical process that you're going through, which is more like what my sessions would look like. I am using honey and Reiki energy and emotional processing and a mix of those modalities. Energy healing sessions with my clients are going to be laying on a table, doing a lot of the Reiki hands and honey hands. We're working with the body. We're working with those energy centers, but I'm also talking to you in the session. We're talking about your inner child, what age comes up for you that you need to work on in clearing some of that shame and some of those belief systems that you have trapped in you. So it's all really powerful stuff. I highly encourage that if you are a witch, or you are a magical person, or you are trying to manifest and make magic in your life, and you're like, I'm just hitting walls all over the place. What sort of inner work needs to be done? Where is it deep down here? Especially, and I'm going to pull an example real quick of a group that I'm in that's a bunch of beginner witches all trying to learn what is witchcraft, what are we doing? The questions I see most in that group are things like, oh, I have a spouse that does this and this and this and doesn't understand me, and, you know, we're growing apart and whatever. What spells can I do to change him or her? And my answer is always going to be the same, because I get people asking me that question all the time. And I say, what sort of inner work is it that you need to do in this relationship? What is it that starts here, where you can control something, not what you're trying to control about him, right? And finally, we get to the third pillar. So we had the words, the will, and the way. Now, this is where ritual comes into play. So how you actually incorporate an action or a behavior in how you get that done. So that might be as simple as waking up every morning and looking in the mirror, and with every intention you have, saying the words out loud, saying the affirmations. I am successful. I make a lot of money, whatever your spell is. It could be an actual spell ritual, and that's so fun and creative. A lot of us witches love to do those things, but if you're one of those witches that go, oh, that is a lot of work, and that takes some time, and then I have to go to the store and I have to buy the herbs and the ingredients, and I have to set up the altar, and that's just not my thing. That's totally fine. Not everybody is going to feel, and rituals should not be a chore, by the way. They should be something you're excited to do. Wake up and incorporate it into your day. So finding the actual way that you want to go about getting that to be a part of your life, it can look like a lot of different things. And I actually teach a class on rituals and spells, how to construct a ritual or spell. And by the way, my class is very much not going to be, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do a spell for money. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do a spell for love. My way of teaching is, whatever the spell is you're trying to create, here are the elements you take into consideration to construct it completely with your own intentions in mind. It's an empowerment class. I would rather people construct ways to move forward with their spells, with their manifestation, in a way that means something to them. So I'm not, if you can't tell already from this episode, I'm not all about there is a one right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. It's not my jam. You won't find that here. There's not a lot of gatekeeping in the way that I do witchcraft and work and magic and healing. So we have episodes in season 1 where I introduced those 3 pillars, and then I went in depth on just talking about the words element, how to incorporate that into your practice. What are some ideas on how you can make words work for you? Then an episode entirely on will and an episode entirely on way, so that you can get a little bit more in-depth knowledge on how to construct your path moving forward in magic. The most important thing to remember from today's episode is just that you are magical, that the world might not look like the movies and TV shows of Harry Potter or Elsa, or, we want so badly for magic to be real. A lot of us, when we were kids, we wanted that kind of magic to be real. We completely blinded ourselves to what is actually magical. And I love noticing that when you're still and quiet, you feel so much more in your body than you ever thought you could. There's a thing called forest bathing. I've never tried it before. You go out into the woods, or you go into a forest, or even just a group of trees. I have some trees at my park here across the street. And you just sit and you just reflect on what you feel, what comes to you. And the important part about this activity is that you do not dismiss anything. Because a lot of us can get into really, really strong self-doubt when it comes to magic and intuitiveness. And we start to think, well, I had this feeling that that tree was talking to me, sending me like a message. But that's ridiculous. A tree talking to me. Weird. But if you can just open your mind up to, what if that is what's happening? What if that tree is sending me some sort of a vibrational feeling that it wants me to know? And science has already proven that trees know we're there, that trees interact with us in some way, shape, or form, because they're little vibrational sounds with those machines that they can hook up plants and trees to. They make different sounds when people come around and when they interact with the tree or the plant or the flower. They make little sounds. So we know they know we're there. They interact with us in some level, even if it's to warn other trees around them that man is in the forest, I don't know what they're saying, but we know that they react. So why not trust it? And why not find the magic in that moment? You will find out that certain things begin to feel very sacred to you. Sort of like that liminal space between night and day, the dawn, or between day and night, the dusk. That's why in-between spaces are so sacred to Celtic and Druid people, is because there is something to that. We know history has shown us, and our ancient ancestors knew, that they were sacred, that there was something magical about it. The veil thins, and whether you believe in spirit or not, there is something to that. I invite you to go out and find the real magic in the world. And keep listening and subscribing to this podcast so that you can be introduced to more ways to find that magic and how to engage with it. Well, I told you that we had some exciting announcements coming up. So before we end our podcast today, our episode, I would like to announce some fun things. We have a really awesome Practically Magic screening event sponsoring Aurora's Apothecary and Love and Light Reiki Healing. That's also another healing colleague of mine who lives here locally. She is doing a client appreciation event for her clients. She wants to get some of those clients who are in the broom closet, if you will, to feel comfortable around other witches, around other magical people who are open to the idea. And we're excited to partner together to have a screening of Practical Magic 2. Our favorite movie has a sequel coming out September. She has rented a theater on September 10th, the night before it comes out officially. So it is a day early screening event. It's going to be here in Riverton, Utah. And we at Ride the Wave Media are going to sponsor some tickets to give away to some witches and magical people locally here to come and join us and watch it with us that night, September 10th. So if you want a ticket to come and see it with me, even be featured on the podcast potentially if you want to talk about the movie, we are going to be doing a special giveaway. So in order to find out what is the giveaway going to be all about, you have to go to Ride the Wave Media and you have to put in your email and subscribe to this podcast, Practically Magic, so that you can be eligible to win. And then we will give out the details of how you can win those tickets. We have 10 pairs of tickets to give away. Oh, I'm so excited. And this movie is a long time coming. Practical Magic is what I named my podcast after. Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock, they're all back. I am so excited for this movie. I can't even begin to tell you. It is, to me, the absolute peak movie to describe what magic feels like and looks like in the real world. So you're not going to want to miss that. That is going to help us launch season 4 of Practically Magic, which is already going now, officially, right now. We're doing it. Don't miss Parallel Frequencies. The reason I was on such a long hiatus between seasons is because we were working really hard on a lot of background stuff. We are revamping and rebranding Practically Magic, new home on a page on the Ride the Wave Media website. And we were working on Parallel Frequencies daily podcast where Blaine and I co-host. And we are talking about movies and TV shows and breaking them down and talking about the spirituality, the humanness around art as it comes in media. So don't miss Parallel Frequencies. Go subscribe to that show as well. And don't worry, I know some of you are watching right now, and maybe you were big fans of the show last season, season 3, where I had my co-host Jamie, and you're thinking, wait, this is Courtney by herself. Where's Jamie? We miss Jamie. Don't worry. Jamie will be back. We'll be doing a lot of different guest spot co-hosts things together. She's just going to be speckled in the season wherever we can grab her and put her in. She's working on some really amazing things for Rising Moon Minerals. So you are going to want to follow Rising Moon Minerals on all of her socials because hopefully she will be growing in amazing ways. I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about that. But I am super excited to see what she's working on. So we're going to give her some space to do that. But don't worry, she will be back. And lastly, I have an awesome announcement for me, Courtney Pearl, and Prism Healing. First of all, new website. A new friend on my website to work with named Wispy, new partnerships where we are going to be releasing content and tools partnered with AI on Prism Healing website. Now, if you're already like, AI, I'm going to be doing an episode all about the ethical partnerships with AI and how to move forward with AI in a way that feels cohesive with the energy and with the respect of the practitioners who do energy work. There is a place for AI in healing. We just have to be very intentional about it. So I will be talking about that in a future episode of Practically Magic. Stay tuned for that. But you are going to want to go to my website, prism-healing.com, and see Wispy and see what's new. Check out the orbs. Check out this week's art pick, which is fantastic. You know I love incorporating art with healing work. So that's going to be amazing. And check back every week on the website because we like to update it every once in a while. We like to give some new tools and some new things. It's a great playground for us to try things out. So don't forget to give feedback. There's a feedback button and you can say, I love this. I don't love this. This works. This doesn't. It's all fantastic. Please bring it on. And finally, I will be at the Conjuring Tree here in the Salt Lake area a fantastic metaphysical pagan witchy shop that I have always loved. Good friends with the owners. They're awesome over there at the Conjuring Tree. They have amazing tools to work with for anyone who's looking to ramp up their practice. They have a fantastic library of books and resources, and they just opened up a little cafe. Puck's Stump is open now at the Conjuring Tree. So if you're local, please stop by, see the Conjuring Tree, see what it's all about. It's right there on Redwood Road and 70th South. And I am going to be their resident reader, tarot reader, every Tuesday. So if you want to book a session with me to read your tarot and to get a little insight into what you need to know about your healing, I'll be there on Tuesday from 1 to 6. And you can go on to my website or their website to book me. They will both go to the exact same place and book a session with me there. Of course, you can always book a session with me any other day of the week. I do them virtually over Zoom, and I can do them from anywhere. And you can also come to my office here at my house, which is still available all the other days of the week. But I would love to see you at the Conjuring Tree, because then I can show you around and show you all the cool stuff, and you can grab a little tea or coffee while you're there. I think that's just about it for announcements. Phew, I haven't seen you in a while, so there was a lot of announcements to make, right? And I'll be back here next week. We are going to be releasing more episodes of season 4. So please go to Ride the Wave Media. You're going to want to submit your email so you can get the clues and all of the updates and all of the information on how you are going to win those tickets to see Practical Magic 2 with me and my friends, my witchy friends. Yay! All right, friends, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, never forget that you are light. So ignite your spark. We'll see you next time. Witches and wizards.